Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel Two Guys and One Passion. My name is Doug Bruegmann, and today I will be talking with Sergio Ferreira from Trolling Reel Deep Sportfishing. Sergio fishes out of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie in Canada and is a pro staffer for GRC trolling flies and torpedo divers. So, how are you today, Sergio?
Hey, Doug. Not too bad. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Why don't you start off and just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself so we get to know you a bit?
All right, thank you. So my name is Sergio, as Doug had mentioned. I fish out of Lake Ontario, Port Credit area. In the spring, you can catch me at St. Catharines Marina, which is for the Spring Kings. As the migration moves, I go over to Port Credit, and that's where I finish my season. I've been fishing for about 10 years. I've been chartering for 5.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about how you got into charter fishing or why you got into charter fishing.
Ooh, that's a good question. So every time I went fishing, I used to take some friends of mine, and every time I bring somebody out different with me, their facial reactions when the rod was going off, you got a nice peeler, their faces are priceless. So every weekend I have buddies telling more buddies, telling more buddies. And then one day it struck to me, I'm like, why don't I just charter and just have this open to everybody instead of just limited buddies, right? So I ended up going into chartering, and that's how it all ended up here, and it's great. Like I said, the best part is watching people's facial expressions when that fish is screaming. They don't know what to do, and the thing's just going off. But the best part of it in the end is you don't have to have experience to go out there with me. You don't have to have gear. And it doesn't matter what age you are, it's fun for everybody because there's always
Sure.
adapters, belts, stoppers you can put on. It's not limited to anybody. Anybody can do it.
Yep. I think the most fun is the kids when you get the kids on the boat and they're catching a fish, even if it's not a very big fish. They just light up, man. It's just like that's the world to them, and it's a memory that they'll never forget. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yes,
Very cool.
kids doing that are a big thing, especially when their kids come out with their father and their grandfather, and their grandfather's watching their grandchildren fight a salmon. That
Yeah.
doesn't get any better than that whatsoever.
Yeah, the other fun one is when you get somebody with a big fish and they've never experienced anything like that and realize how much fight is in a fish that, even though it's not relative to a person, it's not very big, but when you're getting a 35 or 40-inch fish out there fighting and strip and drag and they can't believe how much effort it is to bring it in, it's just so much fun. So
Yeah. The best part too is when they ask me, what happens when the fish keeps running and run out of line?
You haven't had that happen, have you?
I've been pretty close actually on one of
Close.
my downrigger wheels. I had a smaller wheel on because I had some issues with the other wheel. So
Yeah.
I put that one on and it spooled out pretty far. Like I could already see the end. It was pretty iffy there. I started running over, cranking on the drag a little bit, and we were laughing. We ended up getting the fish in. It was about
Nice.
20 something pounds. It wasn't that
Sweet.
big, but Buddy had energy. He just had energy.
And that's kind of an interesting point is you never know with fish. I've had 8-pound kings give me more trouble than a 25-pound king. I've had them, you know, take out 4 rods in the process of trying to bring a fish on one rod in. Just you never know. Got to bring up you're actually going to be joining the fun here with um, Two Guys, One Passion, and kind of what I wanted to talk about there was kind of what you would like to see come out of this joint venture between the two of us, and where you see things going with this collaboration. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing it. So
Yeah, excellent. I'm actually really, really excited to do this with you as well because there's a lot of information out there that people can learn just by watching a 5-10 minute video that you would normally find. And I find that some people just don't want to educate others, and that's the wrong way to approach when it comes out to fishing the Great Lakes because the fish are out there. Everybody deserves to have some fun. Like
yep,
if you're meant to catch that big king, you're gonna catch it. What is yours is meant for you to catch. But like I said, a lot of people don't want to educate. Like there's a million different ways to fish. but everybody has a certain way of doing it, and not the same technique doesn't always work for everybody. So it's nice to have people giving them an option with a variety to do the way they want to do it.
Yep. Yeah, and the nice thing is that I've noticed is there's a good community out there along the Great Lakes in particular, where guys are willing to share information. They're willing to take time and help others out. I've even seen guys out there willing to go on other people's boats that say, "Hey, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you give me any advice?" And I've seen plenty of times where people will offer, "Hey, let me know when you're going out. I'll go out with you and I'll help you get set up and help provide guidance." But there are a lot of things that, like you said, quick 10-minute videos, 5-minute videos on how to do certain things would make all the difference in the world if it were in the right place. So, and that's kind of my objective. I know that is to be able to kind of centralize things so that it's easy to find for people instead of having to hunt here and there and everywhere. So that's kind of what I'm really looking forward to, is being able to create this kind of easy place to find information.
Absolutely, and I think YouTube's going to be the greatest because everybody and anybody knows YouTube. They're going to go there, type in Great Lakes trolling, Great Lakes fishing, salmon fishing, rainbow fishing, and then they're just going to go through a whole bunch of videos, information. Everything's going to be there.
Yep, exactly. So in regards to this venture here, what are you thinking about it, like kind of as the next things we're going to talk about going forward? Pick a couple things that you're really excited about talking about in the coming weeks.
In the upcoming weeks, I think the topics that we should talk about is, I'm going to say, probably top 5 to 10 mistakes that people make. And the first time, I'm just going to, just as an example right now, is some people put out rods for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The fish aren't biting, and they change it up.
I've been guilty of that.
They change it up. 5, 10 minutes goes by, they change it up again. And to me, that is the worst mistake. The best way to do it is approach with the gear that you normally catch fish with, leave it on. Half an hour goes by, 45 minutes goes by, then check what's going on. But 5, 10 minutes sometimes with gear that normally bites, it doesn't make a difference because all the time the fish aren't going to be in the exact same spots.
Yeah.
Moon phases, water current, temperatures, weather outside. Is it sunny? Is it cloudy? Is it raining?
Sure.
All that has a big change factor on how things are going to work that day for you. Previous winds, everything like that. It's all big, which then leads me to my next topic that I'm picking, and that would be wind. Wind direction is a key factor. That when the wind is blowing east, the fish bite the least. And that's another one to talk about, is wind direction. And I'd have to say that my third topic to talk about is reading your sonar. That sometimes what you're seeing, like fish ID, that's not exactly a fish that you're seeing. You could be seeing debris or something down in the water 5, 10 feet, and then you got your sonar marking you a fish ID with a little picture. And that's not the right way. That's going to make it harder for you to see. And it's going to be harder for you to see where your downriggers are sitting in the graph because they got all those little fish ID markers blocking everything, so you actually can't see where the fish are sitting.
Going on.
And you can't set up your downrigger to how deep the fish are.
Yep. Well, I have to say, what in particular that I'm really looking forward to is the conversation about wind direction, because I've got buddies who they won't even go out on days when there's an east wind by me when I fish out of St. Joe, Michigan. And it's like, well, yeah, I've had days where, typically east winds are not good, but I've also had days where you do relatively well. You just don't know. But yeah, east winds affect things, and that's going to be a fun little conversation, I think.
Yes, for sure. And going back to east winds, it also depends where you're porting from. Because if you're halfway through towards the west, you got east coming, you're going to have nasty winds, everything. You don't want to be out there. You don't want to risk it for a bad fishing trip that'll leave a bad memory for somebody. You want to make sure when you go out, it's safe for everybody. And the wind direction is a key factor. So, for example, from where I fish at a port credit, if we're getting a north wind, depending where I am, it's not that bad at all. As long as it's offshore, it's great. South winds, not so great because it's coming straight from St. Catharines across the Toronto. that's when you get a bumpy ride. It's all about knowing the wind direction,
Sure.
the speed, everything, and knowing your boat is another
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah. Well, and like that's interesting because like one of the other things for me, like even though I'm not a charter captain, I just do it for fun. Um, I don't want people to be miserable, right? So if it's too rough out there, I'm not going to go out, even though I know my boat can take it and I can take it. But I don't want people out there A, risking hurting themselves, and B, not having fun. Right. So there are days where, yeah, I would go out myself, but I'm not going to take somebody with me because I don't want them to have that bad experience. So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
you don't know their tolerances. They might start, going over the edge of the boat there, and yeah,
I've been there, done that. I'll save this for the East Wind conversation, but I've had
for sure.
a very bad experience with that once.
Me too,
So I'm sure everybody who runs a boat has, no
for
doubt.
sure.
So
That's how you learn, right? You learn from your
e-
mistakes.
exactly, and that's key on the water, right? Is learning, not only learning as much as you can, but learning from your mistakes when you're out there and you make a mistake, right? Because
100%.
you know bad things can happen quick on the water if you don't learn quickly at times. So. All right. Well, we're at about time. I want to thank you very much for your time. I really look forward to working with you here in the coming weeks and months, and excited to see what we can create going forward. I really hope. Like I said, I'm really excited about this, and I think it's really going to be beneficial to us, and I think others that um, our viewers, as we share this. So,
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to. And I hope that people watching these videos and the upcoming videos, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. No question is a wrong question.
yeah, exactly. Right. It's you know, and the other thing to remember there is just because we tell you something doesn't mean it's the only way to do something, right?
100%.
There are so many different ways to solve some of these problems, and you know, yeah, we do it one way, but there may be another way to do it as well. So,
For sure. 100%. I agree on that.
all right, well, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great night.
You as well. Thank you very much for having me on the show.